The European Institute for Biomedical Imaging Research is leading the way in bringing together researchers, industry leaders, and clinicians to drive innovation and advance AI for medical imaging. Through initiatives like the AI for Medical Imaging Joint Initiative, EU-funded projects focusing on AI, such as the AI Pod and EU CAME, and events like the Pixel Pandemonium at ECR 2025, EIBIR is championing cutting-edge research and its practical application in healthcare.
We now have the director of the European Institute for Biomedical Imaging Research, EIBIR, is here in the studio. They're leading the way and bringing together researchers, industry leaders, and clinicians to drive innovation and advance AI for medical imaging. Through initiatives like the AI for Medical Imaging Joint Initiative, EU-funded projects focusing on AI, and UCAME. Professor Langs, as director of the Joint Initiative AI in Medical Imaging at the European Institute for Biomedical Imaging Research, tell us how EIBIR supports AI research and development in the field of medical imaging.
Sure. So first of all, thanks a lot for having me. We started the joint initiative because we felt that there are 2 points that we needed to address. One is that the development of AI methods, of technology, of artificial intelligence, machine learning is not something that happens before it's used in radiology, but really the successful approaches, the successful software, the successful tools that are really useful in clinic is very much developed in a very close collaboration between radiologists and technology developers. And so this joint initiative has the aim of bringing these communities together, so bringing the community of the clinical researchers, of the radiologists, and the AI researchers close together so that at a very early stage they can collaborate, and that's important because they need to make sure that whatever is developed is really relevant in the clinic, but also that the radiological community gets an intuition about what might be possible in the future, right? Not only to look at finished products, but really to look at things that are very early in the thinking process and then together shape what's going to happen.
Great. We have to talk about the Pixel Pandemonium. It's a new introduction to ECR this year. Yeah. What do you think it will achieve?
So I think it will, or it closes a gap that we saw. On the one hand side, we have great scientific content at ECR, both in the radiological field, but also more and more in the AI field. So more and more AI researchers are coming to the ECR because they enjoy kind of getting the feedback and getting the inspiration from ECR. And on the other side, we have fantastic products, industry coming to ECR, showing us what's finished, what's there and ready to be used in the clinic. But in between, there is an area where things are kind of moving beyond just being research, but becoming tools, but not already products. And we think in this area where there are university teams that are thinking about, should I start a startup, should I collaborate with industry, partner up in order to actually put that into practice, at this area we felt the Pixel Pandemonium can make a difference. So to give radiologists the ability to just go there, play with it, play with things and interact with things that are not yet products, but might be products in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Any feedback on the presentation of the Pixel Moment?
I love it. I love it.
With the red eyes.
I love it. So during the preparation, we were of course discussing the content and how to approach the communities, but we were also discussing the kind of how it looks. And at that time, kind of the organization team told us that it will be about planet Earth and that there will be animals, and we could associate animals with the different exhibits, and so also with Pixel Pandemonium, and we brainstormed a bit about animals and pumas and cheetahs and lions, and but then in the end we thought the ram would be a good animal, and it started out as a ram which was totally white with golden horns, and then we thought, well, that's a little bit kind of too, how do you say, too nice.
It had to be edgier.
It had to be a bit edgier, and so then the team created this fantastic Terminator style.
The name sounded wild, Pandemonium.
Yeah, we thought it should be something like that's really chaotic, where you're not kind of saying, well, it's this and this and this, but like where things are flying around and where you can think about new things, right? So where you can brainstorm a bit.
Great. Coming back to AI, what are some of the most exciting innovations you see coming Well, out of the pixel pandemonium, actually, do you discover any trends there?
Oh yeah, sure. So on the one hand side, I think there were great contributions, and it was actually a pretty tough selection process. So we got close to 70 teams who submitted videos, who submitted their software to be shown, and we had to select 18 to fit them into the space, and that was hard. And one area is focusing on intervention, so on using virtual reality, augmented reality to give interventionists the information that they need when they are doing the actual intervention, right? So you can get a lot of data before the intervention with CT or MR imaging, which you cannot do during the intervention, but you can actually superimpose that information so that whoever is doing the surgery or doing the intervention knows exactly where they are, what's there, sees more than they can see with their bare eyes. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about radiology, to make things visible. And the other trend that we see, which is exactly at this very early phase where we're still looking for where's the application, where's the clinical utility, is generative AI. So there was one, I think two, actually. One is there right now. One was there in the first 2 days. Thinking about like how can we take images of patients like a CT or X-ray and say, well, what if this patient had a different different disease, right? What if there was another anomaly? What if this image was taken with another scanner? And that's really useful in order to, for example, create methods that you train on data, but then you make them also applicable on other kinds of data where you have less kind of representative data sets, on transitioning methods to, let's say, smaller patient populations, to other a bit more fringe ways of acquiring imaging data. You always need a lot of data, but with these, I think, technologies, you can transport the benefits of these methods to this smaller, less well-represented patient population.
Wonderful.
AI research feeds on energy, electricity.
That's true.
It feeds on data.
Yep.
And it also feeds on cash.
Yes.
The funding of research, especially at this nascent stage, is critical to drive it forward. How does your organization support the development of this in these early stages?
Yeah. So EIBIR and also the Joint Initiative on AI and Medical Imaging helps to form project consortia and help to design projects, and then also helps to run the project, right? Because the projects need researchers from different fields, from radiology, from computer science, machine learning, but also health economics, right? So these things are getting more and more important. And EIBIR, on the one hand side, just helps people to organize and get the proposal going and get the projects going. But it also, I think, importantly, connects these communities, right? So we have very often, and I think everybody knows that you know whom you are working with, you know a couple of people, and then there is a very big trend, so to say, to collaborate with the people that you know. But there might be other groups who would be really great at helping you in your project. And so EIBIR tries to kind of make these groups visible to each other, makes groups in the MICAI community, which is the computational community, visible to the radiological community, and the other way around, so that new groups can form that are really perfect for a specific project.
Does this happen on a digital platform, or are there actual events?
It's
or
both.
How does it manifest itself?
That's a very good question. So it's on the one hand side on the EIBIR platform, but it's right now we are trying to find a good way to do that, and a lot of it is kind of fostering conversations, inviting people, inviting researchers. So we had a big initiative during the last year to bring more researchers from the MICAI community to ESR to really interact face to face, because I think in the end face to face is really important. So this kind of directions we are exploring right now in order to get better at that. So I think we are not yet there where we would like to be.
You're also involved in several EU level projects. Including AI Pod, and it's a project based on AI-driven cardiovascular disease prediction and risk assessment. Can you explain how AI can impact the lives of particularly obese patients at risk for cardiovascular disease?
Yes, so iPad is one of these projects that tries to, first of all, be clinically relevant by kind of being very close to the clinic, but also to develop new AI methods, new machine learning methods. And so the purpose of iPod is to create algorithms that can use clinical data that's acquired during the clinical visit, but then add activity data that is kind of added by activity trackers, smartwatches, on a daily basis to inform the person about their risk right now and what they could do to change that risk, right? It's one thing to go back to the hospital and have a conversation with the doctor, which is great, but it's a very different thing to have kind of whenever you want during your daily life information about, well, if you, let's say, walk some more or do this activity, that would have an actual impact on your risk.
And their pulse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to give them kind of
Things.
much more agency about what they could do, what they could change, and give them information, right? So I think there is one line of giving information to the physicians, to the treating physicians, but there's also, I think, value in giving information directly to the patient. And maybe, if I may, so from the machine learning point of view, I think the really exciting part, because we don't yet have the solutions and we need to develop the solutions, is how we can combine this very deep phenotyping. So we are working with photon counting CT imaging data that gives us a lot of information about the tissue in the heart, the tissue in the heart muscles, the movement of the heart, the function and physiology. But you can acquire it once in the clinic. How to combine that with this day-to-day fitness tracking data, activity data, dietary data in order to actually give a meaningful risk assessment.
You correlate
Exactly.
information.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And cardiac rehab is such a critical part of the patient journey.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's not even that we want to be there during rehab, but much before actually any event happens. So we would like to inform the patient about what could be changed before the event happens to reduce the chance of or the risk of a cardiac event. Monitoring, yeah, but also kind of monitoring for the patient, so that the patient is the person who looks at the monitor and kind of gets the information.
This is very useful.
How would this, theoretically speaking, how would this be communicated with the individual patient? Would this go through an app or?
Yes. So as part of the project, we also develop an app. So Brightfish is the partner who is doing that. They have a lot of experience of creating apps that can collect data, but it can also kind of visualize the data in a way that's helpful, right? It's not overcomplicated, or it's not kind of pouring in a lot of information that's not really useful, but they kind of visualized it for the patient. So it's an app, essentially.
Okay. Thanks for answering that. I always find the connection to the patient itself,
yeah,
especially when
really
dealing with
important,
issues,
right?
AI, data, big data, very important to.
And I think we are still totally not there to give good visualizations of imaging data, even for experts like physicians or radiologists, right? There is still a way to go in how to visualize well what's relevant at the specific point where they are right now. So what is information that they don't know already and they're just wasting their time or screen space. And I think it's even more challenging to get it right for patients, because you really want to kind of give them the information. You don't want to kind of give them information that doesn't have any context, right? You have to make sure that there is context so that they can get actually value out of it.
Simple to understand, valuable information.
Yeah.
And I understand the challenge. It's information to a general population of various levels of ability to comprehend.
And
Exactly, and they care a lot about that information, right? Because for them, it's very personal information, very consequential information.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for coming into the studio today.
Thank you.
Professor Langs.
Thanks a lot for having
making
me.
the time.
Thanks.
Stay with us as the day progresses. We have many interviews with the leading lights of many of the internal organizations within the ESR coming forward throughout the day. Thank you for joining us.
I will see you soon for a session on EIBIR and its partnership with Bracco. Thank you for watching.